Hello and welcome back to Cross the Line, WFUV's one and only tennis podcast. We have a very exciting episode today. We're talking all things US Open, but we just said this before the call. This is our first official podcast where all four of the tennis ladies are on. My name is Gabby Price. I'm here with Grace McCarron, Mary Hannah Gallagher, and Mary Hawthorn. This is pretty fun, guys. We hadn't all been in on the same podcast, and we've been on this podcast for 3 months now, I think. So it's about time. But so very exciting stuff. But before we kind of get into our tennis predictions, and I'm sure we can go on about them forever, I kind of want to start this US Open themed episode with you guys have all been to the US Open before, right? Like in person. Mary Hannah, no?
I have not. I've always wanted to.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. Girl, you're in New York now. You gotta get yourself
Yeah,
over there.
I know.
Um, but so, well, if you have any memories from maybe watching on TV then, but I want to kind of start the episode by asking Mary and Grace, you guys have obviously been, in Queens before for the tournament. What are some of your guys' favorite memories growing up of going to the tournament? Anyone that you've seen? Mary, Grace, if one of you wants to start.
I can start. I would say one of mine is I think it was 2018 that I got to see Roger Federer on Arthur Ashe. It was like an early round. My family likes to go for the early rounds because you can see a lot of people and kind of just wander. But we watched his whole match on Arthur Ashe, which was kind of like surreal because I'd never seen him in person before. And then like the first year I went was 2017, and I saw like all these people just practicing, but like Naomi Osaka, Ash Barty, all of these
Wow.
players who like now looking back that was almost 10 years ago, and like those players have like built huge careers for themselves. And we didn't really know about like Ash Barty back then. We didn't really know about Osaka yet, so it's kind of just cool to think like, oh, I saw them back then on like the side courts in Queens.
That's amazing. Like one of my dreams is to see Naomi Osaka play because I love her and I hope she has a good run this year. But for me, I'm trying to think like one of my favorite memories. This was kind of on the more recent side. I was going to be a senior in high school and I went with my family. It was one of the earlier rounds, but maybe like round three. We can look it up. It was when Alcaraz made his debut to Ash in 2021 and he played Sissipas. And I remember everyone being like, "Oh, I hope this guy like has a chance. Like I hope it's, at least a good fight." And Alcaraz of course ended up winning the match and had an amazing run that year, but yeah, it was one of the most exciting matches. Like you can tell from my videos, like it was only a few people at the beginning, and then by like the fourth set or whatever, it was packed. It was insane. So I have to say that was probably one of my favorite memories.
Yeah, oh, but those are good ones. My last year when I went for the finals. I was not in the stadium. I unfortunately could not afford that probably like $5,000 ticket, but I remember sitting outside watching it with my friends because they had never been, and I was like, oh, like you guys should at least go while it's happening. And I don't know, like sitting there, and it was like a nice day, and they were giving out like free hats and stuff, so that was fun. But in terms of like actually being there to watch a match, um, I think, well, so the practice courts I think are also underrated. I remember seeing Casper Ruud a couple years ago with my family, and he was fun to see kind of play and warm up, and then like come to the side and kind of talk. And I had never seen him before play, so that was cool to see him hitting around. And then I've also seen I saw Coco a couple years ago too. And I mean, enough said with that, but yeah, she was just um, you know, so fun to see. And then some of the doubles, I can't think of any of the double players I've seen right now, but I think I've seen Coco Vanderway when she was still
Oh my
playing. I think I saw some of
gosh.
her
Yeah.
doubles. She
Wow.
was fun to see. And I remember watching her too at the Connecticut Open when that existed in New Haven. But yeah, yeah, I finding like some of the doubles at the US Open is so niche that I love.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no. So Lots of good memory. Hopefully we'll get back again this year, but let's kind of jump into some of our predictions. Maybe we'll stick with the men right now, but who do you guys think will win the US Open this year?
I have a guess, like, or not a guess. I have a prediction.
Mm.
I feel like Alcaraz is going to win this. I think he is just incredible. I saw him yesterday in the mixed doubles tournament with
Oh
Raducanu,
yeah.
and I saw him practice. He is, I can't even explain how talented he is. Like, wow. I mean, I knew that already. We all knew that. But I don't know, especially considering that Yannick is enduring this illness. I think it's Carlos's. So that's mine for the men. But Gabby, I don't know if you want us to give men and women or just men right now.
Just do men right now. I
Okay,
also said Alcaraz.
nice.
So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, me as well. I think really emphasizing like what Yannick Sinner kind of like conceded to in the Cincinnati Open. Like I don't think it's been long enough for us to think that Yannick Sinner could take down Alcaraz right now at the level of play that he's playing at. Like it's like eliter than elite.
I have Sinner, um, because my thing with his illness, I'm like, I feel like it's gonna be fine because I was trying to do the math in my head, and so his tournament, obviously he doesn't, qualifying's going on right now, but the tournament for him starts on the 25th, I believe. And that's several, assuming this is not like a serious illness. We don't know that much. He just said I was feeling unwell, but assuming this is not like a terribly serious illness, I think he'll be able to bounce back by the time that was, the Cincinnati thing was 2 days ago now, so that's an entire week. Um, Obviously they have all of these things to help him feel better. He's probably like pumped full of electrolytes right now, and I don't know. There's something about I do feel like also I will get into the runner-up too, but I do feel like for some reason I have this feeling in the air that it's going to be Sinner and Alcaraz in the final again. Like we don't even have the draw yet, so we don't even know. But I just have a feeling with Sinner. He's been other than the Cincinnati Open, which is obviously kind of an outlier, he's just been so dominant this year. And and the French Open was also kind of an outlier because that final was just so crazy. But he's been so dominant. Alcaraz to me is obviously fantastic, but there's been some moments where he's struggled a little bit, and that makes me nervous when he goes up against someone who's playing as well as Sinner has. So that's why I'm picking Sinner, but I mean, if it's a week from now, well, actually, the tournament's already going on a week from now. If it's like, if it's like Sunday this week and he's still like, I don't feel that great, then I'm gonna be like, oh, it's probably gonna be Alcaraz. But yeah, on paper, if everything goes like I think it will, I think it'll be Sinner.
Yeah, that Sinner illness, it's very vague to me, very weird to me. I think yeah, so I just think like the mixed doubles, like I want to ask you, Mary, too, like what like the environment is like right now. What was your experience there? It's still crazy to me though. That they like why was the final of Cincinnati Open on a Monday? Like maybe it was rain or whatever, but it seems ridiculous for right before a major. Kind of confusing to me. But let's get into our male runner-up. Hear me out on this one, guys. This is I it would whatever. I don't even know how to say this, but my runner-up is Tiafo. I think this would be great. I think this would be a great tournament for him to make it to this round. I don't know if he would have that many chances after this US Open to kind of make a deep run into a tournament. Um, and of course, US Open, I always kind of think the Americans do a little bit better in New York than in other places. So I'm kind of going with not a wild guess, but it's out there a little bit, I would say, in Tiafo. But I can hope. I can hope.
That's a good one. Like I would love if Francis was in the final. That would be,
Right? That'd be fun.
oh my God. Okay. I, now I want to say Francis because you said that. But for me, I'm kind of stuck between maybe Ben Shelton or Alex Demonauer. I love Demonauer, so I would love to see him in the final. But if not, I think Ben Shelton's been playing really well, and he's so dominant, I think, at any hard court in the US. So I'd love to see him make it, maybe if not.
I was leaning towards center just for like reasons that Grace was pointing out about how he in like a week's time, if it's just like a cold and they probably have an IV in him at all times when he's not playing tennis. So I'm sure that it's going to be out of his system, but I just think that Alcaraz is going to be able to take down Sinner in an environment like this after past kind of meetups, you know? So I do think we're gonna have another Sinner Alcaraz final. I just don't think Sinner's gonna come up on top this time.
Yeah, I kind of already said mine, but I think it's going to be Alcaraz. And if I had to pick one person to win the tournament, it would be one of them because it just feels like it's going to be like that for a long time. But I do love the American picks, and I feel like this is the tournament where like a younger American like the ones we've seen like Ben Shelton and those types of people like they could make a run because they feed off of the environment in Queens. So I hope that happens.
Yeah, and hey, Sinner Alcaraz final, no one would be surprised that it would be great tennis once again. So, no, I wouldn't hate it. I'm just, we've kind of been there, done that, and we are surely going to see that again. So I don't know, we'll see. But moving on to uh, uh, our final survivors, we're going to pick two men that we think will be in the quarterfinals last year. I don't know if he can win this year, but I think that he will make it to at least the quarterfinals. Um, and then my second pick, I have Jack Draper. I think for them, these are two like reasonable. They should make it to the quarterfinals.
That's good.
Yeah, I was kind of leaning towards Ben Shelton, obviously. Um,
Good one.
I think he's really gonna thrive like in the American environment, of course. And then Zverev, I thought that he's been really consistent, especially on hard courts. And he has experience with the US Open because he was a finalist in 2020, right?
Mhm.
I think I remember that.
Mm.
Um, but I don't think he has enough to make it like past the quarterfinals because of the dominance of Sinner Alcaraz, but I think he's gonna be up there.
I'm gonna go with another American, Taylor Fritz. Obviously the runner-up last year, and another American who I think feeds off the environment and the support that he gets. I know, like when he won Indian Wells, I think that was last year that he really like benefited from the crowds out there. So I think this is kind of a similar thing for him. And then, um, I also picked Lorenzo Musetti because I like his game a lot. And I like what he's been doing recently. I remember I think I told the story on the podcast once, but there was like several years ago in the French Open he played Djokovic and he either won the first set or the first two sets and I was like, "Oh, this random Italian man that we've never heard of is going to upset the greatest tennis player ever." Um it didn't happen, unfortunately. But since then, I've been like, I'm gonna keep an eye on this guy. And he's had a great season. And I feel like he's been making a bit of a name for himself that he hasn't had in the past, alongside like several other Italian tennis players, which is a topic that we've touched on. So I think that this could be a little breakout tournament for him, hopefully.
For me, I'm stuck between two. Kind of, I don't want to say like wild card because they're not wild cards, but I don't know. I thought maybe Jacob Mensik. He's very dominant on hard court, and I think he's had a great year. And I could totally see him, causing some upsets. So I would say maybe Mensik. If not, I would say Davidovich Fokina. He was great at the DC Open. I feel like he's always causing these upsets. He knows how to, dominate top five, top 10 players. So I'd love to see him if not. So either of those two.
Yeah, wow, those are some uh players that we don't normally talk about, Mary. So going
I know, I'm
deep
like, is
there.
that right? Because honestly, I have like PTSD from the Wimbledon picks because I picked everything wrong. Like I didn't get one thing right. So
In depth, but
maybe I should be more different. Maybe I should be expanding like who I'm, I don't know, rooting for and stuff.
no, I think that's good. I mean, I feel like there's always like those players that are not talked about in the mainstream that find themselves in the quarterfinals, and people are like, "Where did this player come from?" And it's like, guys, like they've been here. You just don't watch tennis. Um, but we'll move on to our most likely burnout on the men's side, top 10 player who we think will lose early on. I did say Musetti Grace, so we're on a little bit different wavelengths here. I think he's been really good recently, but I do think that he can be a little inconsistent when it comes to tournaments, and so I think it would be a shame if he lost this early, but I would not necessarily be surprised. But then again, I think some of the things with these picks is that we hope that these players prove us wrong to an extent. Um, I mean, I would love to see Musetti get deep into the tournament, but I just don't know if that will be possible. What were your guys' picks?
This might be a little bit controversial. I have Zverev because my thing,
No,
so
I like
okay,
it.
he made the Australian Open final this year. Obviously, that's the other hard court major, but the past two majors he's lost like kind of early for his standards.
Mhm.
And obviously, those can be a little different 'cause they're different surfaces. He's as you said, Mary Hannah, he went to the US Open final um in 2020. So I could very easily be wrong on this, but I don't love that he's been losing early the past two majors. I don't love that trend. And depending on the draw, obviously, again, we don't have like the draw yet.
We
We
don't.
don't know who they're going to be facing, who they could possibly face as they advance, but I don't know. I just feel like it could be tough. But obviously, because I believe he's three in the world right now, he's probably not going to have the most difficult draw ever. I don't know. I have like a weird, it's really just that I have a weird feeling, which is not a reason. But I just am like, I don't love that he lost so early in the French Open and Wimbledon. Like that's not really like him. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. Mary Hannah, who's your burnout?
I had Medvedev. I thought that he has just been having a lot of losses, but also just I know that hard courts are his best surface, sorry. But I don't think that he could take down like a dominant younger guy like Ben Shelton. I think that
Mhm.
if he comes up against him, I think that it could be over for him really fast. And you can even tell, like with him playing, that his fitness and just even confidence just isn't looking as good as like it did when he was at his peak. So,
I like that pick a lot.
That's fair. Yeah, I do too. Mary, who's your male burnout?
My meal burnout is Taylor Fritz because
In the US Open, a year after he was in the finals.
okay, hear me out. I think Taylor Fritz is a very talented player. I think he's awesome, but there are times where there's inconsistency. Like I don't think we can rely on him all the time. And I don't know, based on his I don't know. I'm gonna go on a hunch here because I'm not his biggest fan. And I don't know. I could see it being some crazy upset, but I mean, of course he's an American. I'm rooting for him, but I could see maybe because he's been a little bit inconsistent this whole year, I think there's a chance. So I'm gonna just make that guess. But who knows? He'll probably be in the final again now that I said that.
Yeah, yeah, but maybe. But sticking on the Americans for the US Open, I want to do a American hope slash, the American who we think will make it the furthest. I've already said mine. I think Tiafoe will be the runner-up, so I'm sticking with him, obviously for that. Which, you know, a little bit of a random guess on my end, but who are your guys' who do you guys think the American man who will make it the furthest?
I have. Well, okay, I said Ben Shelton, but obviously I also said Taylor Fritz to go to the quarters. So both of them kind of, but I just think
Mhm.
Shelton like thrives in this tournament. Like I feel like we haven't I mean him and Tiafo like last year were both like they had the crowd on their side. And obviously pretty much every American at this tournament is going to have the crowd on their side, but they like were appealing to the crowd too. It was just really cool. Like I love that kind of thing. And I think that's kind of special to the US Open. Like obviously the British players at Wimbledon, they have like they love Andy Murray and they I'm sure they love Jack Draper now too, but I feel like the US Open, the crowds are like rowdy in a way that they're not at Wimbledon because Wimbledon is a lot more like a little bit more buttoned up. But I think Ben Shelton thrives in this kind of environment. I think he loves playing it here, and I think that's awesome. And I hope he makes a deep run. Honestly, if he won the whole thing, I'd be really happy. But I would put him right up there with Taylor Fritz for American hopes.
Yeah, I already said that he was my quarterfinal pick. So I also agree with the Ben Shelton thing. And I really like what you were talking about with like the American scene is just more encouraging, I guess, than like a posh Wimbledon scene. Because like Americans, we've never thrived with being like posh and put together, especially in like a US Open in Queens, New York. Like I just I think a crowd for a US Open and an American player have more chemistry than any other like hometown hero in any other open.
For me, I'm gonna go Ben Shelton also. I think, as you said, Grace, like the energy that the crowd brings when he plays is unmatched. And I mean, his serve, I think, on hard court is one of the best on the tour. So I'd love to see him, I think, make it really far. And I definitely think he has a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben Shelton is a showman, I like to think. He definitely likes to put on a show. He reminds me of soccer players in a lot of ways. Just, trying to get the crowd behind their back. And he also he kind of looks like one to me too, where if I like never saw him, I'd be like, you don't play tennis. But we'll have to see. But let's switch on over to the women's side. We'll start with our women champion. I'm going. Sabalenka is going to two-peat at the US Open. I think she's going to come back after winning last year, find herself in the final again this year. And I think she'll win just based on how she's been playing. I mean, I know she didn't have a great Cincinnati Open. Um, not making it as far as she wants, but I think she's also one to do that, not play very well in the pre-major tournament, and then come to the major and just absolutely thrive. So expecting from her, but what do you guys think? Grace, do you want to start?
Yeah, I have Iga winning the US Open because last time I doubted Iga was at Wimbledon and
Mhm.
I was like, we don't, she hasn't really been as good on grass in her career. She has been on clay, blah, blah, blah. And then she goes and wins the whole thing. So now I'm no longer picking against Iga for my own good. Um, I think, and she's won this tournament before. She won it in 2022, I want to say. Um, at least, I mean, that's still fairly recent. And, you know, she's just that good. She really just makes opponents like look like they haven't ever played tennis before. It's crazy how she beats these people. I mean, we saw it in the Wimbledon final. I think that was like kind of a different thing, but she makes these like experienced tennis players look silly. And, you know, that's what you need to win any major, like no matter the surface, no matter where it is. So,
Yeah, I also had Iga just because I I don't know. I think that she's also been really powerful, but she's also been in a really good just like physical form after Wimbledon and kind of proving herself as a champion this season. And I think she's gonna carry that into to another win at the US Open.
I love Iga too, but I'm gonna agree with you, Gabby. I think Sabalenka might take this home. Her forehand alone, I mean, she's so dominant. I think last year ESPN noted that she had, I think, a faster average forehand than like Alcaraz. It was something like a crazy stat like that. That was like I had to like take a double take because I was like, what? But no, I think Sabalenka is amazing. Hard court is definitely one of her best surfaces. So I'm gonna go arena.
Yeah. All right, we're divided here. We will see who is more right, but let's talk women's runner-up. I'm going Coco Gauff. I would love if she won. I don't know if she'll get there, but I think it would be really, really fun, obviously, to see her in a final. And I think she can get there. I think she can get there. She's had a really good season up to this point that as long as she, doesn't let the rest of the season up to her, like I think sometimes happens in previous years. I think sometimes when the US Open comes, a lot of players get a little tired just because it is such a rigorous season of tennis. But I do think she can do really well in this tournament. Like we were saying with the men's side, you know, all of America, New York will be on her side for this. So I'm going Coco. But what do you guys think?
I picked Jasmine Paolini because I loved her performance at Cincinnati. She took out Coco Gauff in the quarters.
Mhm.
And the other matches, like she faced Barbara Krejcikova, who's won more than one major in straight sets. And I just love the way she's been playing. She hasn't been amazing at the majors this year. She hasn't made a quarterfinal yet this year, but I like the trajectory that she's on from starting at Cincinnati. Obviously, she lost to Iga in the final, which is not that surprising, but I like the way she's been playing. So that's gonna be mine.
I had Sablenka as the runner-up. I think that there's no doubt that she's going to make it really far, especially to the finals, given things that you guys were talking about, like her forehand or just like her capabilities as a tennis player right now. I don't know if the American crowd, kind of talking about this again, I don't know if the American crowd really likes her after the way that she treated Coco Gauff after that French Open win. I think that a lot of fans maybe still like hold that against her. And so all of the crowds are gonna be against her at the US Open. And I think that that might get to her and her ego, which I think we all know that she has. And I think that's not gonna play in her favor. I think that's gonna kind of shoot her down. But I think that she may also just use it as fuel to get further. Um, but I don't see her taking home the win for this one, but there's no doubt that she's gonna go far.
For me, I'm gonna have to go with Iga. I think, as both Grace and Mary Hannah said, she's going to have an amazing tournament. She's proven herself. I think her Wimbledon run was incredible. I know it's a different surface, but if she can dominate on grass, I think she definitely can dominate on hard court. So I'm gonna go Iga. Hopefully, that would be a great final too. Like that would definitely go to I think 3 sets if it was the same.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, after Wimbledon, the bar for women's final is almost anything would be better. So that would be very fun. I think those are all really good picks, and you know, we shall see what happens. But let's look at some quarter finalists. I had Iga for quarterfinalists, as you guys mentioned. No doubt that she makes it far in this tournament. I just have her as a quarterfinalist, and my other player is Madison Keys. I think I'm a big Madison Keys fans. I think you guys know this about me by now. Um, I think it'd be fun to see her go this far. She won Australia, of course. I think she's on a pretty good path to do well in this tournament. So. Um, those are my picks, but, Grace, who did you have?
I have Sabalenka because I don't have her in the final, but I do think she's going to make the quarterfinals. I don't think that would, be surprising at all. And I also have Jessica Pegula. I think another American woman who thrives in the American environment, kind of a theme that we keep repeating for her, but I like the year she had. Some ups, some downs, but I have faith in her. I think she's a really solid player. So
I totally agree. I also had Jessica in there, but I also had Elena Rybakina. I think that just kind of the way that she's been playing this season. Okay, notes are gone. And luck is gone. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
we can hear you.
I
Yeah,
think
that's a
that the
great pick, I
way
think.
that she's been playing this season has really proved that she's agile enough to take on like a bigger player. I don't see her getting past like the forefront names of women's tennis right now, but I think I see her going really far in the US Open on a hard court.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a great pick too, because she just beat Sabalenka in Cincinnati, I think. Something like that. She just had a big win against someone that it was like, oh, like she kind of put herself back on the scene. But Mary, who are your quarterfinalists?
For me, I'm gonna go Coco because love her. I think, as everybody said again and again, that American crowd will be on her side. And she's an incredible player. I mean, returning champion, not or a champion. So I'd love to see Coco, and then someone else I would love to see is Emma Raducanu. I think she's on her
Mm.
redemption tour. You know, people were really kind of tearing her down in the media because you know, she wasn't winning major after major, but she's really been playing well. I believe now she's British number one. She topped Katie Bolter. Um, yeah, and I think she played excellently in the mixed doubles tournament. So I would love to see her make it far. And she definitely has proven that, you know, she can do it, of course. I mean, she's a US Open champion. So I'd love to see either Emma or Coco or them both in the quarters.
Yeah, Emma's a good pick. I hadn't really thought about her for that, because she has been kind of quiet
Yeah,
recently, but it would be fun, um, to see her play. Maybe now that she has, played in the mixed doubles tournament already, has had that, court and band experience. Maybe that helps players in a certain way, come singles. But let's move on to women burnout. I'm going Andreeva. I think that this could go both ways, honestly. I think you could either see her make it to the semis or she loses first round. I don't really see that much of an in between for her. Maybe second round. Maybe she would lose second round. But yeah, I think depending who she gets in the draw, I wouldn't be surprised if she, falls early. But she has had a really good season, so maybe I'm underestimating her by putting her in this spot. Um, but Grace, who did you have?
I have Emma Navarro because
Mm,
I don't know how to feel about Emma Navarro because I feel like she's talked about in
yeah.
like oh she's like the next great American woman, like along with Coco. But I don't know. I feel like she has not really given me much recently. I believe she lost in the first round at the French Open, and it was like not a very competitive match. Wimbledon, she made it a little farther, but still lost pretty early. I think like her breakout that everyone started talking about her was last summer at the Olympics, but that's a long time ago now, and she hasn't really done a ton since then. So, and I don't like, she's never, like, I've never gotten the vibe that she's one of the favorites of like the American crowd in the way that like the American crowds like love Coco, and on the men's side, they love like Ben Shelton, Tiafo, etc. I've never gotten that vibe from Emma Navarro, and I feel like she's like kind of controversial in the tennis world because of like her background. So I don't know. I've very up and down on her, but I'm gonna say she's probably my burnout just because I don't think her results against like in majors mostly recently have like really given me much to bank on.
I agree, Grace. I feel the same way. I mean, I'm conflicted because she made it to the semis last year, right? Yeah, it was the
I
semis.
think she did, yeah, she did well last year.
But still, since then, as you said, there hasn't been the same level of performance. And I don't know. I mean,
this is the first year where I feel like I don't even want to say a burnout. Like, I don't even want to put that out there because I feel like everyone has a chance. It's such an unpredictable surface. People really shine because of the speed here. So I don't know, but I'm going to go Emma just based off her performance. Like you said, Cincinnati too. Or I believe she was at Cincinnati or it was DC. Anyway, her recent performance on hard court makes me think there's potential for her to lose within the early rounds. So I'm going to go Emma too.
Good pick.
Yeah, I like that pick. I was thinking Onus Jabeur. I think that she's really only had one quarterfinal run at the US Open before. And the way that she's placed in the draw, I think she'll probably meet up with people like Mira and Dreva. And I think that they would really bring out bad things for her, I guess, in the first few rounds. I think that she's gonna have an early exit as she's had at a lot of other majors this year.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I love Owens.
Me
I
too.
love-
I think
I
I'm
love her.
biased.
I need her to
She's
win.
so
I need her to
she's
get to the
so
final.
When I think she
I
lost like the Wimbledon final a few years ago, I was like really upset. That was like a bad day.
devastated. She's like such a good person too that it's
She's
like,
so
she's
cute.
so easy to root for that I don't even want to say that
Yeah.
she's gonna lose because like that's what I don't want the universe to hear, Mary. But when we're talking technical tennis, like it is a very good pick because she has not, had that quarterfinal or semi run recently, and she's also been dealing with injuries, so
Mhm.
that never helps. But moving on to our last topic, the American women who we think will do the best. I maybe will we unite on this front. I'm very curious. I say Coco, of course. As always, she's been the best American woman for the past couple majors, so that's why I have.
I also have Coco because I feel like this is like kind of an easy one for me. Like she won the French, she's won the US Open before. And it's, this is like her time to shine, I feel like. She wins a second US Open, like that's that now she's like the golden child.
Huge.
And I would love that so much for her. That's my girl. She replied to my TikTok comment that time, and that was a really good day.
Oh
So
my
yeah, hopefully that's now I'm like, I will always root for you. But yeah.
Yeah, I also had golf. I think that like she kind of is the definition of the people's princess when it
Mhm.
comes to America and tennis. But she also just like she's had a great run this year. And I love her, so that kind of helps.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Coco too. I mean, it would be amazing if she won this year. I mean, that would be awesome. Oh, I can't even. I don't want to say my pick
Yeah.
or after what happened at Wimbledon. Like, I don't even want to say my picks.
You're
Yeah,
the bad
Yeah,
luck.
but I think
Mary.
Pula would be really good too, and she definitely has a chance. I mean, finalists last year, very dominant. I think she could also be a great pick, but I'm gonna go Coco.
Yeah, I would be surprised if anyone went a different way. Knowing us, knowing this group, knowing our picks in the past. But before we kind of wrap up, I do want to ask you, Mary, you have been at the US Open already this year, watching some of the mixed doubles, which we've talked about a little bit on the pod. Just it's very interesting this year. They moved the mixed doubles from during the tournament, during the main draws of the tournament to fan week before. To me, it's a little bit of marketing scheme, as most things are nowadays, but they're getting all these top 10 players, top 20 players to pair up, playing the mixed doubles tournament, which is really fun. It's really good tennis, I would presume. And some of the videos that I've seen, it's a little bit maybe more lighthearted than, how the real mixed doubles would play. And it's a huge prize money this year as well. So maybe a little more on the incentive side. But Mary, what has it been like there? What are the vibes? Who did you see? Just tell us your experience.
Yeah, thank you. So I went yesterday to see the first day of the mixed doubles tournament, and it was great. I was really surprised by the turnout. I know in years prior, Fan Week hasn't been as, packed as it was this year. I think they've done a great job really like marketing the tournament. I've been seeing it everywhere. Like people really, whether you're a tennis fan or not, you know that like Fan Week is happening. So it definitely was really crowded, a lot of really cool shops, pop-ups, definitely very commercialized, which I think is a good thing. I think it makes the tournament exciting, or even more exciting rather. But in regards to mixed doubles, I was surprised that it was a set is 4 games. I didn't know that going into the day. So the players will only play like first to four. Or yeah, first to four, but then I think if they're 3-all, they do a tie break. There's some sort of tie break system, but I didn't see that in any of the matches that I saw. But the best match of the day, I'd have to say, was Jessica Pegula and Jack Draper against Emma Raducanu and Carlos Alcaraz. It was
Of course.
it was insane. I thought the crowd was totally going to be on Jessica Pegula's side, considering, she's the only American that was out there for that match. But the place went crazy when Carlos Alcaraz and Emma walked out. Oh my gosh. Amazing. You could tell right away, though, that it seemed like Emma was a little bit nervous. Like the first shot of the match was like a middle volley that she totally hit out. But I mean, the nerves, it must have been insane considering the amount of people there, the intensity, also just the pressure going into it. Like there was so much talk about them making it so far and everything. But after that, the nerves totally settled down. They both were amazing. Emma was great at net. Carlos was just insane. But Jack Draper and Jessica Pegula were really fantastic. Like they were not making errors. They were so consistent, so focused. I think Emma and Carlos, like kind of as you said, Gabby, like they played it a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more fun, a lot more like laid back. But I saw actually in a press conference on Instagram, like later that night, that Jack Draper was getting some like comments and questions about why he was playing so seriously and like why he was taking the tournament so intensely. And I think he responded with something along the lines of like, is it a crime to like take it seriously? Like, why are people giving him such a hard time? And it honestly was a great
That's weird.
because why wouldn't you take it seriously? But then anyway, there was this talk about like, is it exhibition? Is it not? But he definitely like set the record straight where like this is a tournament that they're like playing to win, which is always a good thing. It's always good to take it, as seriously as possible. But that was a great match. I mean, there were so many other ones. There were some upsets. I really wanted Munfee and Osaka to make it really far. I would have loved for them to win the whole thing. I think they're both like fan favorites, incredible players, incredible people, it seems like. But yeah, overall, really exciting, really good. The only thing that I would have said like maybe do differently is I wish there was like more tennis. I wish they played, 6-game sets. I would just love to see more. And I think other people would agree. But I get it. You don't want, players being worn out before the tournament, or getting injured or anything like that. But that'd be my recap, I think, so far of everything I've seen.
That's a great recap. That will be interesting too. I mean, I know Sinner, Alcaraz is no longer in, as you mentioned. Sinner is not playing, but for some of the players who do expect to do really well in the singles, and you said, Draper's playing really hard or playing really competitively, which why wouldn't you? I mean, if you're taking spots away from, doubles players who do, this is one of the few events that they can play in. Why wouldn't you take full advantage of, your time playing mixed doubles? But it will be interesting to see if any of these singles players, when they do get into the singles draw, is this a warm up for them? Will they be a little more tired than they normally would have been? It will be very interesting. But tonight, Jack Draper and Jessica Pegula take sorry, Iga Swiatek and Casper Rudon. That's a fun match. And then Collins and Harrison play Arini and Vavasori um, also tonight. So lots of good tennis already to watch before main draw starts this Sunday, I believe. But that will be just about it for our podcast today. Thank you everyone for listening. It's been a pleasure having all four of us on today. And follow us on socials to stay tuned with our picks. Hopefully we do a little better than Wimbledon, but we shall see. Cross the Line is a WFUV production.